You've trained knife defense for 20 years and a guy comes up to you, pulls out a knife and says, "Give me all your money." You look at him and you're like, this is my moment. This is what I've been training for all of my life. 40,000 ways to disarm the knife. So he attacks you with the knife, you grab the wrist, you pop the knife, goes flying underneath the car, now you gotta fight him. And all of a sudden you realize, I've never trained how to fight. I've trained how to disarm the knife. I never thought this far ahead. All this training and I'm still getting my butt whipped. When it comes to self-defense, there's a lot of variables and there's not just one that fits all. First, let's talk about what is self-defense. It's we're talking about a live street situation, maybe you're out and about. Just in general life, you come up to a threatening situation, usually someone attacking you, but it could be a cat or a dog. But generally, we're talking about a person that's puts you under threat. The thing with self-defense is there's so many variables. So it could be in a big space, it could be in a small space, it could be in a slippy surface, it could be on concrete, it could be in a moving environment like a bus, a train. The threat, the attacker could be big, could be small. They could also be carrying a weapon, and there could also be multiple attackers. There's just so many things that can happen. So when you choose what martial arts to do to defend yourself, I like to think of what would prepare you for the vast majority of situations, the most common situations. What you got to understand is it's a lot to do with the way you train the art. If the martial art you do does not battle test the technique, battle test is it doesn't test the technique under pressure, like in a sparring competitive situation, then unfortunately I don't think your martial arts is going to be the best form of self-defense. However, martial arts does have multiple other benefits like flexibility, your mental health benefits, just general physical health. There's a lot of benefits. I'm not saying there's no benefits, but when it comes to self-defense, the techniques have to be tested. It's a bit like driving a car. You wouldn't really be able to learn how to drive a car unless you actually get into a car and actually drive it. You can have the best computer game set up in the world. You can have a steering wheel, the pedals, everything, and you can be driving it all day. You might maybe improve your coordination, the understanding of the car, but you're never going to be able to really feel what it's like to be in the car and driving it in a live situation. And essentially, to actually learn how to drive it and pass a test, you're going to have to drive a real car. Any martial arts that has the practical element of testing the techniques, for instance, like we're sparring at things like kickboxing, boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, Muay Thai, judo, all of these have a very practical element of application when it comes to actually the techniques that you do. You do it on a person that's giving you resistance and you're also implementing it. There's also consequences when you don't achieve it. You often get hit, taken down, submitted. You learn how to implement the technique under pressure. If you can't do it in a gym environment under pressure, you're never going to be able to do it in a live environment, never mind a life and death situation. So with that said, in my opinion, the best form of martial art for self-defense is MMA. Hear me out, hear me out. I know that sounds quite biased because that's what I do, but understand, I did martial arts because I wanted to learn self-defense. I wanted to be able to protect myself. And over time, I've trained so many different martial arts. I've seen how effective each of them are. And I think they're all very effective. However, I think MMA prepares you for the most wide variety of common situations that can happen. You know, for instance, you could be outside, you could slip, you're on your back, you gotta be able to fight off your back. Someone could be grabbing you, gets a hold of you, maybe from behind, any position. You know, in a standing situation, you've got to learn to use your wrestling. Then there's also the punching and kicking element, which is the most common. There's always a time you're going to have to be able to punch and kick. And I think mixed martial arts also prepares you for that. Saying that, mixed martial arts requires quite a large commitment. And to be able to learn all those disciplines at an adequate level, you do have to train for quite a while. It does require quite a lot of commitment. So how do you choose the best self-defense for you? Say, for instance, you're going to train once a week. In that case, I'd say MMA probably isn't the right discipline because training once a week MMA, you're probably not going to get too good at anything to be able to really implement it, or at least not in a very short amount of time. I'd say something like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, all those are great. Focusing on one discipline once a week is achievable. You can get pretty good in a few months, depending obviously on the quality of training still and how much effort you put into it, but you can still achieve it. I've seen guys get pretty good within once a week of training. Say you've got a job where you can't get mocked up in your face, you got to keep this beautiful face. In that case, maybe striking, boxing, kickboxing isn't for you, then fair enough. Do something like wrestling, BJJ, something with a more grappling element to it, because then you can learn how to fight without actually having to take punches. But say you hate grappling, you don't enjoy it, it's just not something, it just doesn't sit with you. In that case, learn kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, you gotta maybe learn some striking. If you don't enjoy what you do, you're never gonna get good at it. You might as well learn something that you enjoy, and then you'll naturally get better at it. As long as you train one discipline really well, you're still gonna have more knowledge than the vast majority of people that don't do any sort of martial arts. I do think at least doing any form of martial arts is super important, but if you can do MMA, I still think that is overall the best martial arts that covers all areas. Yes, some people say weapons training. Weapons training is great if you have a background, like I was made a little sketch earlier. You know, yes, weapons training is good to learn how to disarm a knife maybe and deal with the situation at hand. But unless you can actually fight as well without a weapon, what are you going to do if someone attacks you without a weapon? Yeah, so I think overall, when we look at what's the most common situation that's going to happen, you want to be able to defend yourself in a normal hand-to-hand combat. But like I always say, don't forget the most important thing is don't get into a fight, guys. Yeah, it's not worth it. Try to avoid it at all costs. If you can't walk away, go do some track and field. Run away, run and run fast. Your life is not worth it, guys. Well, that's my opinion, and I hope that helps some of you guys help make a decision on what you want to be doing with yourself. But remember, the most important thing is that my opinion is all that matters. No, I'm just kidding. Finally, I want to say that this isn't one of those videos. I'm not saying one martial art is better than another martial art. That's for another day. But this one is just surely what I think prepares you for most situations in a self-defense scenario. Thank you for watching.